And another reason why the schools were, many schools, elementary, primary schools, and high school, middle school, colleges, were revolving around me, literally, universities especially, at the age of 15. And I know you don't believe me, the free education. So because the losses of the sciences were big from July the 20th to 2001. Therefore, it was expansive. Because if you say that the academicians and the deans in Poland, Egypt are, the brother and the cousin of the back, and they do sciences. For the parents, science is easy. But you forgot their jobs. Authorities who are USA, CRS, D1s, D2s, D1s, humanitarian services in all those countries around the capital cities. Now, if the child grew up with the corporates, not Pfizer and Johnson, the pigs and all of that, the Greys and Blacks, and also Pfizer, Johnson and the pigs, the sidekick science of Jamila. In other words, you were such assholes and bitches that if you brought back Disneyland as a pin-up girl after The Hague on Your Own Coastlines, Bureau de Veritas, The Mermaid, you'd still fucking hate me and send your psychos. The reason you don't like listening to me, like if I went to a 5-year-old, this is what they were saying around the world. And it's not just the parents saying it, it's everybody. You're assholes. And your bitches are the same. If you have Disney in 80 countries, 81 countries, forget about the US, 80 countries, connected those who was to Kubas. And that's the old news on the news tonight, saying that some tragedy happened on the coastlines of the US. There's the Scotland film and Radio Globo. By now, there was a lot of flyings and there was a lot of runnings for that girl on mountains, on hills, and on her crawlings, little crawlings. After they smashed her head on the coastlines, she became a crab to crabby. They said that so long that they are sick of saying it. When you said that there's something out there, the blues, your brains are not capable of registering the blues. Why? Because if I tell you that somebody had their head smashed in on the coastlines and there was a ship to yacht that left and a mermaid, it means exactly that, US, on your coastlines. Strange? Absolutely. Unusual? Absolutely. Don't make it a habit? Absolutely. But if that shit already happened, and if those intels left, I didn't speak about corporations. Why? I'll explain why. Because you bitches don't understand intelligence. You just bitches. In other words, if Disneyland, this is it, if they grafted a Disney girl whose only thing she has in common with the original is her eyebrows, a particular corn cob, and she's telling you that there's something of intel behind her, even after smashed her head on the coastline. Excuse me. Her hair as Disneyland is falling out, her nails are breaking, the whole shit in Fresno. For the parents or retirements. Okay. You judge a book by its cover, even if it is beyond famous, known, and everything else. And that there are people out there saying she's Disney. Let them stay in Rome for retirements. The fuck happened on the coastlines? What is the US? A joke? Then they speak about stupid times. It's the time, it's this, it was that, intel, whatever. It's empty. So when you have an industrial complex of military bombs, everyone has bombs. Fuck, even Luxembourg has its own little bomb squad going on. Switzerland, little fucking Austria has bombs. We're speaking about the Russian bombs. We're speaking about Saudi Mir, meaning July the 20th of the Mir. We're speaking about the new shit, the space stack, the new shit, the new math. We're speaking of that. So when they said Jamila was good at the broad-stroking science, July 22 to 1, they meant it, fucking bitch. When you started calling me a whore, when you started sending your psychos, when you started cheerleading my death on Disney mode, on my little crawlies, in Fresno and Frisco, your stupid police officers, whether they like me or not, they couldn't give a shit. We know what they are, flatfoot. We know about the girlfriends. We know about Fresno's, Tom and Jerry Tartars and his buddies for the parents. That many motherfucking times. Oh, and not only. So, In an act of total desperation, what happened? They brought back Disney. Not only desperation, they were showing what had happened with the intel. And I think that that's fair enough, because if you have that kind of intel lost, Dirk-Jan van Damme will say what Dirk-Jan van Damme said, which is, we will make them pay in kind for what was lost on the coastlines of intel, for the Hague, for the Bureau de Veritas pin-up girl. So that's the old news on the news. That's the Gone with the Wind, with all the flyings of that girl, the runnings that many motherfucking times of that girl on the hills, and then her smashed in head on the coastlines. And the reason you're still denying it here is that if I'm a 5-year-old around the capital city, here in San Francisco, you have these assholes and their bitches and their whores sitting there and laughing at Disneyland. I've heard enough of this country. And not only. You will still say that the Russians and the Chinese are retarded in technology. You will say that these flyers and runners didn't exist. They existed. The scientists in the ship existed on the coastlines once in stupid times. As all the flyers and runnings, what happened? You smashed my head and then brought me back at Disneyland and just wanna under the rug with all that paperwork. Oh, and genetics. How did they do genetics after smashed in head on the coastlines? I have no idea. She must have been good. That's why Intel calls me phenomenal. That's why the Chinese and the UN called me phenomenal. Phenomena that died, that the Americans forgot. The Elena Muhina of gymnastics. The Greta Thunberg of, of intelligence. Okay? Because I wasn't gymnastics. I wasn't climate change. So when they said trade pool in the house, they meant it. Just for me. Because not only was I doing connected us with whites to rebels, which would have helped the parents, and not only which helped, for sure helped, for myself, in those 80 countries. I will not say 81 the US, because to me the US is just what it is. Because if you have professors in your country that are teaching your students to get PhDs and be geniuses, explain to me what the flyings and the runnings were about around the world, and defending the parents against Fresno's heightened intelligence was all about all the flyings and runnings. You know, you can have all the Lara Quintuses in the Supreme Court that I was born and raised with, and you can have all the Natalie Directs on the planet. It won't make, for Brussels, Supreme Court, it won't make a difference, because the US is just tits and ass, cheap as ass Fresno's intelligence. And your haters. Again, the Schadenfreude Jr. The reason there's 250 Dr. Parrots up my ass since I was a child, together with Simon the Order the Phoenix, on the 5th floor, the reason they're there is because of your whores and your bitches and your assholes. Literally, Disneyland. Because I don't see you fixing diddly squat on the coastlines. And I'm dead. I'm Disney. And I was that mermaid of July the 20th, 2021. If you take Disneyland, you want to trash her around because that's the American way of doing shit. You're not a country. You're not a country for the Hague. You're not a country for the Bureau de Veritas on your soil and all the scientists that left with her. You're not a country for the corporations that left your fucking country. Shit-o! And now you're not a fucking country because you can't fix it, so you're sending your psychos to Disney. Again, tell me that you're the best in sciences between the Germans, the Russians, the Saudis, and the Chinese and the UN. In science, you shit! You used to pay me money for the flyings and runnings. To do the science, you knew, the UN knew that girl in Rome. Now, you're having fun with Disneyland! You psycho shit bitches and hoes and assholes! Now your PhDs and your limousines. Oh, and you're homeless and you're psychos. I pay you this, I pay you that. You know what you are? You know what you sound like, US? Exactly what the 250 Dr. Paris said. On all the Crawleys, literal Crawleys, for the pain of the parents, that I Yes, because I was living in the house as a trained poodle. So I went back and forth that many times. On Crab, I still had resistance, remember? Even if I was a different another girl. Crab to Crabby. Huh? Now you're speaking about religious, there's no religion. The reason those guys blessed me was simple. You were a phenomenon. You had your head smashed in on the coastline. You peaked. And yes, there is blues. But by the time you explain to these assholes, bitches and whores, literally, that shit's empty on the coastlines and those guys left the Manhattan Project, and that's the old news on the news gone with the wind, they're not going to give a shit. Because as long as they have muscles, like the muscles in the sea, kotze, there's kotze as men. You know, Marines? Marines are not famous for having brains. July 22 to 1 breakers of space tech grades are blacks or pinks. You know, Disney? The little cheapo Disney? Because we're cheerleading. Let's cheerlead. I hate your bitch. I hate your bitch. Oh, that police officer don't like that. And, blah, blah, blah. And my wife, I don't give a shit. Keep that shit empty. We're the corporations. And you know what? The kind of people you have in your country? I hope you go to our US. Your Jewish fuck-ups, your ugliest Jews that you sent against me, your ugliest white shit, and your chulas with 5X bras who wouldn't be able to reopen one fucking building of space tech in your country, of mine. Then you're gonna call me the terrorist to make you feel like woman inside. You know what, bitch? I'm sending Disneyland to you, mist. I just want to see what the fuck you made of tits and ass. You just proved that we're Schadenfreude Jr. 250 Dr. Parrots. Wasn't that old news on the news? The Hague, the pinup girl, the Bureau de Veritas. Oh, and, Schadenfreude Jr. With the, haters and stalkers that are dangerous for me. As extras. This is what you showed to 80 countries, Monsieur 81st US. And you don't care because you have the arrogance not to give a shit what you lost on coastlines because it's all news on the news. So why am I back? Oh! Let me put it this way. Only because Disneyland is the pin-up girl don't mean that shit ain't empty and somebody else is taking more. Ship to yacht and the corporations and the paperwork and the genetics after a smashed in head on the coastlines. Genius, phenomenal assholes and phenomenal bitches. And may I add hoes, considering that you sent the ugliest bitches, young, old, rich, poor, and everything else. The problem is we rubbing into you. The Hague happened on your soil of the science. And while you cry for some cheap-ass dog mission, the real shit is empty. The true shit that became reality on the coastlines is empty. And that's the old news on the news gone with the wind. No shit. And the most intelligent on the planet is the US, the most intelligent, the bestest for retirements of the barons. I don't think so. And, you know, I'll tell you another thing about what happened around the world on the crawlers and electrocrawlers and me with the masses, which you still call me crazy for. I'll kill you, I'll rape you, I'll violate you, I'll put you in prison, then I'll take you out, then I'll do this, then I'll do that. And then I'm going to do all the psych shit, shouting, and everything else. I'm going to shout back in your face. Disneyland is going to shout right back in your face near the end of the number and tell you what the fuck you really are worth in the US. Every country is born with a debt. Well, not all. The US, the most debt on the planet. And when you're born in the US, whether you have cash or not, whether you're a millionaire or not, you owe the government something. The country. What? The soil that your ugly ass is born in the US. You owe them. Whether it is a Nazi skin, Hitler in power, or whether it's a communist, or whether it's somebody who's trying to change the world for the better in DC, Barack Obama, it doesn't matter. Therefore, the only choice you have is to think. And if you can't even think, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised that there will be many other attacks of scientists, no science, without the Hague. No a la Hague style on the coastlines. None of that shit. None Bureau de Veritas, scientist, mermaid. None of that shit. They just come to your country, fuck it up and leave. Okay? By now, if you don't have eyes, if you don't have a mouth to speak, or you don't want to fucking hear as a 5-year-old, as a little Disney 5-year-old replica daughter smashed in the coastlines with no teeth. Now, considering you're so fucked up as people, literally because the intel doesn't give a shit from me, as people, because I'm Disneyland. Old news on the news. There's a Scotland film at Radio Globo. Literally, by now. So if you do that many flyings, they'll say, okay, 92, 92 and above on the mountains. It's too many times. She's on the coastlines of Barrington and Fresno. No worries. On the runnings on the hills that many motherfucking times, 85, 85. I was doing all this, and I was also on the coastlines and still doing my own little shit inside. Eventually, after so many hills and runnings, I get my head smashed in on the coastlines and come back as Disneyland, and they call me the pin-up girl, the replacement child, the genetic variant, the anomaly, the freak, the Disney, whatever you want to call me. And the only thing I have in common with the original is the eyebrow. So I kept telling you, I'm the same, I'm the same, I'm the same. Why? Probably because of the blues after the smashed in head on the coastlines. That you cannot understand because you're geniuses in the US. And so when they said Delft, the nome de facto, they meant it. Literally, the number is Delft. From Holland. It's a particular number. So whether the partisans adopted me or the communists, but now, cool of the vote is completely total desperation, la 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 la. Makes no fucking difference. Just let's stare over as diamonds, you bitches. Why? Because they can see that your country is not fit to think. Actions speak louder than words. They speak louder than words on the coastlines, Delft. And it was, but you were used to be CIA long ago I used to be CIA, no more. Not after smashing head on the coastlines, we call that drawing the line in sand long ago. Scotland Femme and Radio Globo. Not after the Hague. And if there is genetics, I could tell you it's not the original girl. It can be a genius, but it cannot be the original girl. Not with the ship, not with the yacht, not with the intelligence that lost on the coastlines, not with the mermaid, and not originally, and not with the corporations. We drew the line on that, and we made genetics. That's it. You're not capable of understanding that, because you bitches in the US. And your boyfriends are no better. When the intelligence communities of that kind, July the 20th, 221, bring back Disneyland, after smashing that on the coastlines, they're showing what you are. They're showing we have to stay out of this country. They're showing it. They're saying there were losses on the coastlines, on US soil, Mossad, not Mossad, collective on the coastlines. They're calling you every name under the sun. It doesn't matter. You don't even give a shit for that. But what you do care about is the hate. Why? Because if you hate to create the Hague and the Intel losers, you are losers in the CIA. You're losers in the CIA. You're actually the terrorists on your own soil. Moles or not moles in the US. I went very deep into that one, didn't I, with the Hague? And I'm Disneyland replacement. So you better be nice to me, asshole. Because that shit will stay empty as long as I'm dead as Disney. Forevers and evers. And you will not reopen the greys and blacks, and you will not even reopen the pink and oranges and those corporates. Because science of that kind of greys and blacks, not pinks, doesn't come back after the Hague. In any shape or form, not even Disney. But it did in May, didn't it? So, when you flaunt your tits at me, and you speak to me about being a woman, the only thing I see is bitches and whores. I see haters. I see stalkers. I see 250 Dr. Parrots worldwide to globals, even in Berlin, Poland, Russia, everywhere, just Italy, London, Arabia. Actually, I didn't see the psychiatrists in Russia or Arabia, but they're there. I see them in Poland. I see them at Warsaw Internationals. I saw them in London, in Berlin, and obviously in Italy and the UN. There's a lot of Dr. Parrots since birth. The reason being, if they see something big happen, historic, even the Chinese speak about it, and then everyone turns on me with their cycles. They don't like hearing it. It's almost like, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that, bitch. This is the US. This is your level of intelligence. I don't give a shit if you have a PhD. If you need to be educated by a Disney product that came out of The Hague on the coastlines like a rebirth phoenix, Disneyland with no teeth, it tells me you're not a fucking country to bring back Disney 221. Innocent Disney. The little baby, the only thing she has in common with the original is the eyebrows. I wonder how, I wonder why. It is a Scotland Film Radio Global Albano. I don't know. Matter when they were saying, I'd rather have the horn beautiful on the coastlines, on the flights and runnings of that girl, the parents on retirements in Fresno, rather than have this shit coming out of the coastlines with the whole ship that left Manhattan Project with 21st century. But that's okay. I'm the terrorist. Of course, US. Blessings, US. Not only are you terrorists on your own soil, you have your people. People, cheerleaders, excuse me. And then you say to me that I'm schizophrenic, bipolar. Every fucking Dr. Parrot said I'm not. They said, darling, you were abused. You had this and this, and even mimicked for a period of time. You didn't have any of it. And even with that, using abuse, and of course they prepared you because they knew these people are animals. But why don't we stay around for examination? I'm not myself. So when they made a comedy out of a tragedy of that girl on the coastlines, the truth is it was a tragedy. And it still is a tragedy. Not so much because of the cycles who won't be able to change what happened on the coastlines and the losses and who knows what else out there in the US. Guess this kid. So when you bite your own ass, when you're happy that I'm biting my own ass, not only going around the circles, but on the coastline, you happy about that shit. It's your country that's losing on your soil. This is the US. Now, tell me how intelligent your PhD is to reopen all those buildings on the coastlines of Space Stack. And nukes. And McVariants. The original ones. Not some genetics after a smashed in head on the coastlines. Because that's advanced intel. 221 Disneyland, gone where the wind goes, child. What a big ship of scientists left with her long ago. And there were corporates too. Even some cancer pigs and orange. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Poland, Russia. That's my blood. Let me put it this way. I am now 51. 51. I've been through all those pains, all the horrible pains when I was in Rome, when I was in London, when I was in Berlin, where I was internationals, where I was in Russia, where I was in Arabias, around the world. That many times on my crawlies and little crawlies. Do you really need to understand anything in your head? Do you have a brain? Or do you need to genetically graft Disneyland just with the eyebrows and stick her out like that to make you fucking happy? On your soil that you could see from the other side of China. And then you wonder why those guys left. You have pretenses, you ask. You speak about everything. Even your people who have billions. You go to these beautiful schools. Yeah? All those kids have cancer. All those kids, many of those kids have holes in their head. They're politicians. Come on, I thought cash run the world, not Intel. Especially space breaking and science breaking. Isn't it cash? Isn't it tits and ass and I got a better lipstick on my ass? US? That's why everyone's happy on the planet. That's why I miss holiness around the world. Opus Dei and everybody else. Yeah! Shut up, animal. You are full of hate. Every time I tell you something you don't like, you react. Can't you just not react? Can you not react with your psychos? Can you not react with your cheerleading bitches in the cars around here? Schadenfreude Jr., Dr. Parrots? You're not worth being under. Firefighters are all federal prisoners. Because in the US, unlike every other fucking country on the planet, if you're a firefighter, you need to have a clean record. Not in the US. Most of them are ex-federal prisoners. I simply don't like you. And that's after the Hague on the coastlines. Because I have seen your behavior in Fresno towards the father and the mother. Your intelligence, tits and ass in Fresno. You could have gotten Fresno so long ago, you spectators of the show. And that is why, my darling PhDs with your jobs, Panya Camps Beyond the Capital Cities, parents, OSRO, TCOR, USA CRS, D2s, D1s, they said they're bigger than the Director Generals. Why? Because of their work. They want them pioneers. They want them beautiful. And they want them to work as D1s, as they always have in stupid times. Okay? When I say they, I don't mean you. You're animals. You're the zoo. I have absolutely no problem after the smashed in head on the coastlines with the scientist July the 20th to 2-1 to tell you you're a heap of shit. And because you've been denying that girl's existence ever since her head was smashed in on the coastlines, you're not only assholes, you're terrorists. So much for the Dr. Parrots. And it's not the psychos, no. The police is involved locally, probably trying to cover up for Tom Jerry Darrell. Well, she goes home and says, oh, no, you sell some psychos there. Let me put it this way, sir. The coastlines, whether I live or not, is going to get emptier. Showing how shit-hosed cheap-ass you are with Disneyland. It's even worse. And I'm not Jewish. Not by leagues. I'm Russian, Polish, Saudi, Egyptian. No motherfucking way that I'm gonna be a Jew for your fucking ass. You cheap Zionist, racist fuck. And I wouldn't even use racism as or Black Lives Matter as an excuse, US. Cheap whores. One day, maybe you'll see the Ubermensch or the Uberfraus. After the smashed in out on the coastlines. They say there's only Ubermensch. But knowing my people. That girl was so beautiful and had her head smashed in on the coastlines, Disneyland. Have you ever seen the trained poodle in the house? I'm not like you. I know what the Hague is. I know when academicians and deans and scientists and UN and villagers and inner circles and others, or maybe even corporations, recreate blues. And families, of course. The deans of sciences there. Yeah? We're going to remember how shit you are, US, and how cheap. That's why you're taking Disneyland. You don't like what you hear, and you're saying, oh, she's a replacement child 221, just for blimp and dime, 221 Delph, and we're just going to fuck her over, send psychos, this and that, kill her, and all this. This is Schadenfreude Jr., Dr. Parrots, and that's the hatred, the verbal vitriol towards me and towards the parents. But what exactly are you other than psycho shits and others clapping around? Stupid college kids who think they're gonna reopen the show on the coastlines with their fucking dicks, which they can't. After the original girl had her head smashed in on the coastline, Disney's not afraid of you, you fucking piece of shit. We're sticking more Dr. Paris for your shit dick. After The Hague and the Bureau de Veritas, all that paperwork, and a standing Disneyland. You're not fucking normal people. End of fucking story. You can't look at yourself in the mirror! Even through the eyes of Disneyland. Trent Pool in the house. After what on the coastlines that you denied? July 2021. They called you Satanists. You are. You're not Satanists. You're just bad people. You are evil, bad people. It doesn't matter even what race you are. And as for the Jews, I particularly notice that the Jews have a tendency to go after me here. Why? Because they're Jews. And they say this, they see Disney and they are degenerates. Because Disney is more normal than they are, according to the Dr. Parrots. 250 Dr. Parrots, 250 pages of Schadenfreude Jr. animals. In other words, they call you the fucking zoo, US, on paperwork. Officially. So, what is the stand-in for? What is Disneyland standing for after the smashed in head here on the coastline, July 2021, plumbing time, 1 smashed in head on the coastlines, Manhattan Project of the 21st century. Is it Manhattan Project? A little more advanced than Manhattan Project, right? I'll see, well, the 21st century. Literally. Like, literally down the radio, literally. And that's what the Italians know, the UN knows, Rome knows, London knows, Washington Nationals, Russia, Arabia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and even Germany, Berlin, remembers the dead baby as the pin-up. So what you showed in California, other than your tits and ass, your dicks and everything else, what did you show? Other than, after the Hague of the coastlines, you brought back Disney. And somehow, these geniuses, modern geniuses and deans and others, academicians made blues. Family members. Polish, Russian, Egypt, Saudi. There's the Italians, there's the UN operators, Woolwiches. I'm not German. But, obviously, if the Germans see something like that, and they could see it careening on your coastline from the other side of fucking China, then whoop, Disneyland comes out as a particular corn called Disney, they're going to say you're fucking shit. That's all news on the news. So now, why would anyone complain? The potatoes of the show, the flies, the mayonnaise, and the course. Why are they complaining, US? First, no. Bring back Disneyland on the groceries to Crowley's. It's blues. I don't know. Training pool in the house. You are not human people. You're not Superman. You're not Ubermensch after smashing head on the coastlines. You're not pink. You're not blues. You're not hate. Post-Hague apocalypse on your own soil. All news on the news and nails. You're deniers. You're haters. And as long as you hear that you're good inside, I'm good inside. As long as you feel that, US, Dr. Paris, we seriously have a problem here. Other than Hague, Houston, Shakespeare, we have a problem on the coastlines. And as for Fresno, that's their retirement. You want to extend the help or the extenuating circumstances with the dead baby paperwork? That's you draw a line on that, Intel. Delph. So, I am one of the most famous Intel agents who had been in the US long ago, and I'm not going to say the agency, who will never come back to you after the smashed in head on the coastlines. Considering you could see it coming careening on your coastlines. You drew that line. You drew it. The ship and the scientists and the corporations who were with her left. They fell. They had white hairs. Whatever they did. This is the mermaid story. It happened so long ago that, even the Dar es Salaam neighborhoods are still speaking about, oh, shit, I thought she was dead. She's alive. And later on, they see the blues. I am not going to explain how that happened because you are simply animals. When they called you the zoo near the Anthem of, and they were calling you the zoo for a long time. In Rome, in London, in Warsaw International, Russia, and Arabia, to my face as a child. I didn't call you the zoo at the beginning of the asswipe crab, the grabby. Why? I tell you why. Not because I was afraid of you. Because I was tired of explaining myself to animals. But considering that I only have 147 to 221 in geological rebirth, ask Disney. Whether you kill me or not, I will not be reborn. I am telling you that we have had enough of your fucking cheap shit. Your games and your stupidity. And as for power games, you could have gone to Fresno and you could literally have Havana that place and nobody would have blinked. In the US. Instead, you played your power games, no power games, your bitches, no what their bitches, and after the shit that was lost on the coastlines on The Hague, with the pin-up girl Bureau de Veritas did Kim Van Dam, that you're still denying because you're fucking hoes, you came to me with pretenses and hate and jealousies and envies and haters and Shanford Juniors and your bitches, whether they're psychos or not, collectively spectators of the show, so that the Dr. Barretts could show exactly what your worth is to the US government after the Hague on the coastlines. While your tits and ass are wagging out there thinking that you are Miss Perfect, that shit had the head smashed in on the coastlines and it's all news on the news and you hate me for that. Seriously, there's retard and retard. And then there is, Scotland Film and Radio Global. Because if you lose that shit on your own soil and you can't admit it, you're not a country. And if you hate Disney for that, because you're 5-year-old retards, idiocies, that can't listen to us, and that's the old news on the news gone with the wind, and you have to be in Scotland Film and Radio Global since you're a child to prove that, and have people wanting, paying, so that the parents can stay out of Fresno, and the child out of Fresno after what happened to her on the coastlines, then tell me exactly what kind of fucked up country you are, US, on your own soil. Forget about the corporations and the space tech. They're long gone. If there's going to leaving more, leave! Do you know how many intels will come to this country, see this shit and say, what a target country? Foreigners and everyone? They will leave your country even without the Hague, without the Bureau de Veritas, without the scientists and the mermaid. They'll just leave you in other complete different ways. All the time it will happen. Maybe it's the times. No, it's who you are as people. I don't buy ne racism, ne religion. I just buy this, you shit. And that's official. With the Hague, the Bureau de Veritas, and the European Federal Tribunal, Dr. Barrett said many times, for one cat. Now! Scotland fucking Yard, Interpol Pala, and FP fucking 9. Open that shit on the coastlines. And it ain't a financial bank. We were not. She passed out mission. When are you going to open that shit Gone with the Wind? Those space breaks and everything else, and silences, and it's a gas, easy shit. With the mermaid. It's where I remember. The pink and blues is old news on the news, the nails around the world, worldwide to globals. You're a backward country. Your presidents that I went to school with in high school in Rome, including your stupid ass Trump daughters, many of them have holes in their head. Many of them are drug addicts. And none of those bitches are going to reopen my buildings in grays and blacks and pinks and cancer. In fact, we even added DACA and Moderna just to make sure in the UN that me be the pink shit we could whittle. We couldn't. Not even with Moderna and DACA. It says empty on your soil. And that was just the pink oranges. There's not even the original Jamila July 2221 that you forgot in the US. Because it's all news on the news, Gone with the Wind. And I have a PhD. I'm too young to remember that shit. This is your country, US, with all your PhDs. So, FBI. I'm sorry if I gave a 5-year-old education of Indios again on micro, I've been dead for some time on the coastlines with a head smashed in on the coastlines. And the pink and blues genetics, how they did the genetics, I'm not going to explain because I'm tired of the shit. And your psychos, this has happened before. Now, considering that there's films and radios to stay out, why? Because we know who the fuck Fresno is, and we know who the fuck lost on the coastlines. And why you're seeing so many flyings against Fresno and working on the coastlines, so many runnings for the barons or retirements of Fresno and working elsewhere. And then what? This? And then they connected us with what's the globals for Disneyland. Do you have any fucking shame, you ass? Excuse me. Fuck you. No! If there's one number, 221, in Disney Mall who has every fucking right to say this shit around the capital cities, on the crawlers and the course, oh fucking shit exploding in my face that many motherfucking times, and I have to keep my mouth shut to the end of the asswipe 221 because you want to put your tits in my face while my fucking body is lying on the coastline, and the only thing I have in common with the original is the eyebrows. And you speak about blues. You don't have the brains for that, bitch!